And the first thing we'll do is have the pledge allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first thing we'll have is the roll call by our clerk.
All right, Dale Ames,
Present.
Jeff Pelon,
Here.
Kelly Perro. Here. Barry Wagner,
Here.
Walter Klee, Kristen Moen,
Here.
Harold Jorgensen,
Here.
John Setela,
Here.
Liz Stockman. Here.
The next thing we'll have her read the policy,
All right.
the meeting policy.
The agenda as printed or amended will be followed so as all necessary and needed actions by the commission will be addressed. The agenda can be amended by proper motion. Business from the floor is welcome and is allotted for on our agenda. When comments from the floor are made, you must first be recognized by the chair. Second, state your name and address for the record. And third, you will have no more than 3 minutes to state your comment or concern. Copies of the agenda and other handouts are available on the back table. Please sign in and turn all cell phones off.
Okay, the first thing on the agenda, we're going to approve or amend tonight's meeting agenda. This is of the March 28th, 2017. Do we have a motion to approve this?
Mr. Chairman, question.
Yes, Commissioner Wagner.
We need to have on there to elect board chair and vice chair. We have not had a meeting yet this year to do that.
Okay, in answer to that statement, also looking at the code of conduct and stuff, at this time, we can't do it because the board's got to, city council's got to make some actions for appointments, I believe, and also what they want of the committees. Is that right, Mayor?
That is correct. So we are continuing, we are carrying over.
Okay, you have not made appointments for this year.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept it?
I move to accept the agenda.
Okay. Commissioner Wagner, he made the motion. Do we have a second to this?
Second.
Commissioner Setla, seconded. Do we have any discussion? Do we have any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we'll vote on. All in favor of this motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, the next thing.
Chair?
Yes. Mayor.
If we're going to use the microphones, people will have to turn them on when they speak.
They're on.
No, they're still red. So if people are going to speak, they either turn them on when they speak or leave them on, so.
Yours is not on. Yours is right.
He's,
Okay. Okay.
he's gonna turn his on when he speaks.
Okay.
I just want to get my coffee.
Do we have a motion to approve the amend the November 29, 2016 planning and zoning meeting minutes? I so move. Do we have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Wagner, he seconded. Do we have any discussion? Seeing if there's no discussion, we'll vote on. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. At this time, is there any floor items? Seeing that there's no floor items, we'll go on right to the public hearing. Public hearing is
That one's gonna come across pretty loud. People are gonna know the meeting started.
okay.
You woke me up.
A public hearing for amendment to the city council ordinance removing reference to the Green Acres tax status as a requirement to be considered for agriculture exemption. It was an intent when the adoption of the ordinance 2013 and 2004 on April on April 9, 2013. Ordinance 2017-01 makes a change to the definition section of the zoning ordinance to be consistent with the intent of the ordinance. At this time, we'll ask our planner, Liz Stockman, to give a description of this.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this came about recently when a resident had requested construction of an agricultural building. And it was noticed that these references to green acres were not removed as they should have been in 2013. So our office prepared this at no charge, and we just, for background's sake, included all that paperwork relative to the Sheldon property, so you just have the background and understand kind of why this was happening. So it's really a very simple change. There was, back in 2013, it was required that your property have Green Acres tax status in order to allow an accessory building on agricultural land. At that time, we decided that that was not appropriate, and we upped the minimum requirement to 20 acres from 10 acres to be classified as agricultural as a better control measure. So we just had the agricultural use definition, which you see in section 1 of this ordinance amendment, and then under the long-range urban service district, which, as a side note, will actually be removed pending update of our comp plan, since we no longer will have the future Seward area, the MUSA they call it, later after the comp plan update. Met Council has removed Nowthen from any future sewer service area. So the LRUS district was intended to govern that area, which we will not longer need any longer. But since it's still in there, we'll update it accordingly and then deal with removal of it at a later date. So please let me know if you have any questions on this.
Okay, at this time, we're going to ask the clerk if she'll verify the legal publications and mailings and postings have been completed.
Yes.
Okay. We do have some people in the public in the audience tonight, so we're going to ask if there's anybody here that wants to make any comments to this. Seeing none, is there any further discussion of the planning and zoning we'd like to hear? The way I understand is that they're going to completely take in the that clause out of there having to do with agriculture then out of our ordinance.
Well, in order to construct an agricultural building, you will have to have 20 acres, and your property has to be in some type of agricultural use or production. So you have to have horses or cattle, or be producing hay, or some agricultural use.
In other words, just green acres is going to be removed from it.
Right, just the green acre status in and of itself will no longer.
Then we'll go back to the state, what the state law is, it can go by the state law.
Well, no, it's still a city law, but green acres is really a tax status. It has nothing to do with zoning. So that was kind of the issue to begin with. Green acres is just a tax status that is obtainable, after you've owned a property for 7 years, and if you meet all the criteria of the county assessor's office.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mayor.
just as clarification, the reason this came up is somebody from outside the city came in and they had a parcel of land and they wanted to put up an agricultural building without a home. And they were using their green acre status from other counties, other cities and other counties. And so because the green acres status allowed them to put up this structure, even though their property here wasn't necessarily qualifying for green acres, the state statute says you can use your acreage elsewhere within the district. So they had no intention of putting up a home. They simply wanted a storage building for things that it appears weren't even agricultural use from our city. In fact, it doesn't look like it was agricultural use. They wanted a storage building, warehouse in here, and they used their green acre status elsewhere. And so what we were trying to do is say, if you're gonna be out here and you're gonna have agricultural activity, we want you to be able to have buildings. But we wanna be careful that we're not just opening up warehouses everywhere for people with green acres somewhere else. So our clarification back in 2013 didn't cover all of the places in the ordinances that green acres was mentioned. When it came up because of this property this last year, we realized that we needed to go back and clean up our ordinances so it's consistent with what we were trying to do back in 2013. So it really doesn't have anything to do with green acres status for anybody who's got green acres. It just has to do with, can you put up buildings to warehouse things if you don't have the lot size and the agricultural purposes in this city. So we're trying to make sure that if people are using agricultural buildings here, they're doing something related to agriculture in Nowthen on at least 20 acres. So it really has nothing to do with green acres other than that was a loophole. People were using other green acres to come in and develop in Nowthen. So it's not gonna jeopardize anybody's green acre standing here or what they can do as long as they comply with our current ordinances.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other discussion? Anybody want here in the commission, any questions they have about this? Seeing none, we'll again ask if there's anybody in the audience that would like to make any comments at this night. Time? Okay. Well, there's no more questions here. We'll just call the public hearing. We'll close the public hearing. Now we'll act upon it. If somebody, now it's been completely explained to us and we've got the material in front of us here, would somebody like the motion to accept this ordinance change?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Settler.
I make a motion that we accept the changes to the ordinance.
Okay, do we have a second to this motion?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Moen is seconded. Do we have any discussion? Do we have any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, we'll go to the next thing on our agenda. It's a lot reconfiguration by James Kowalski, 20560 Engen Boulevard, pin number 17-33-25-43-004, and Jill and Dan Gustafson, 20840 Engen Boulevard, pin number 17-33-25-43-0006. The two parties wish to realign a shared property line and trade properties to resolve a setback issue associated with the Kowalski's home and septic system. At this time, we'll ask our planner to bring us up to date on this.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The main reason behind this request is to correct a lot line issue. Mr. Kukowski's current lot line bisects his septic system, so he mistakenly constructed that over the lot line on his neighbor's property, partially on the Gustafson land. And also his house lies very close to that lot line, so by trading land with Mr. Gustafson, he can be in conformance not only with the side yard setback, but have the septic system on his land. And that it actually, the lot line configuration aligns more with, or I should say is more perpendicular to Engen Boulevard, where he fronts. And it does make sense if you look at the overall picture. So really it's as simple as that. Our office did not have any adversities or did not oppose any portion of this necessarily. One comment that we had was that on the survey, the Gustafson property is shown as one parcel totaling 29.1 acres, but in reality, there are two parcels, still separate, on file at the county. So, the one condition was relating to the combination of that land, which is recommended anyway because the one parcel is not buildable. In fact, that whole chunk has a lot of wetlands on it, the two pieces that abut Engen Boulevard, as you can see in the aerial photo. So the recommendation would be to combine that and then revise legal descriptions if necessary. And then the engineer had a minor comment. One was related to that as well, and let me just review. Here, where did it go? Oh, here. My only engineering item would be regarding dedication of easement, oh, that's what it was, for Engen Boulevard. So they would dedicate 33 feet for Engen Boulevard as part of this reconfiguration, so they would have to revise the survey anyway. Anybody have any questions about this? When I tried to call Mr. Kukowski, he was not answering, so. But I know he did not have any objections to the proposed conditions.
Do they have any problem with combining those two lots?
No, that's just a paper request at the county. That's no big deal to do that.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mayor.
question, how did this come to our attention? And how did that house and septic get built over the lot line?
They probably did not require a survey back. I don't recall what year the home was built. Most likely, a survey either was not required, or maybe it was not a certificate of survey where they verified property corners. I'm not sure. It came to our attention because Mr. Kukowski came to the city asking how he could resolve the situation.
Well, how did he happen to know it then?
Because the Gustafsons have in the last year been looking at possible subdivision and development. I know Dan Gustafson is wanting to build a house, and he had looked at that piece right next to Kukowski's. And we had had the conversation previously about most of that being wet, and I didn't think there was enough area there, but I think in him investigating that, they both realized that he was over the line.
Because when you drive by, you see it's awful low there. There's
Yeah, it's a very low piece.
probably what highline that the other guy got there, it was all the highline that was left there, wasn't it? Just about,
Who, Kukowski?
yeah.
Yeah, maybe so. He's on a fairly decent spot, it appears. But yeah, the Gustafsons' higher land is back farther away from the road. They kind of own along the south side of that lake there.
Yeah, don't they have about 60 more acres there besides?
They have a good sized chunk, yeah.
Even if it combines them two lots, is that buildable? It still looks pretty low in there.
It may, or there's a little piece up where Engen meets their driveway on the north side there, but I don't know, with the setback requirements and everything, it's pretty marginal.
They're also willing to give up to 33 feet to the city then?
I haven't heard anything in opposition to that. So, being,
Because that road's awful narrow. I met a truck there today, boy, and we had a hard time passing, big semi.
Oh, on Engen, you mean?
Yes, it's very difficult for two vehicles, especially a big truck passing it there. I had to pull way over and he had to pull way over.
Okay. Yeah, he's had the report, for over a week and I haven't heard anything, so. He got it the same day you did.
Do we have any more questions here on the commission? We've got a lot of information on it. Seeing there's no discussion, would somebody?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Wagner.
what parcel is their house on?
What do you mean?
The Kukowski house?
One's back
No,
here.
Gustafson.
Oh,
They went
their
back.
house is actually further to the west on a
Way out
different
back here.
parcel.
Okay.
And there's a road over on the other side there, right?
On the aerial, it's 20840.
Okay. Well, the engineer in his question was worrying about combining the parcel with the one their house is on.
Yeah, these two lots up above here. isn't it?
Well, there's that issue too, but these two are separate.
Yeah.
The driveway runs along this kind of funny jagged edge here,
Yep.
and then the house sits over here to a little farther.
Isn't that driveway for the Goodall or people, not?
So,
It's shared.
so.
It's
so-
shared,
Right,
okay.
it
It's up
is
to
shared,
Goodall, and then it goes on to Gustafson beyond that.
Okay.
right. And I think she's her mother, Gustafson's wife's mother.
Okay.
There's some relation there.
But the,
I guess the engineer's question was, should they be combining those parcels, not just combining those parcels, but combining them with the property that the home is on?
Well, it's certainly large enough, I mean, acreage wise, there's no question
Yeah.
I mean, I guess aside from them actually doing soil borings and determining whether this is buildable, you know, that could come at a later date too if and when they decide to split.
Okay.
You mean, I think it's okay if you wanna recommend it. I don't know if they'll object to that or not, but.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
so the question that the engineer had was, because it may not be a buildable lot, should it be combined with the one that the house is on? In the recommendations of the planner, item 3, the two properties that make up the 29 acres along Engen there would be combined. I think it's a separate issue to say, because it potentially isn't a buildable lot, should it be combined with a buildable lot? And I don't know if, there's enough setback there when they give them the corner off the Bukowski land there, if that corner's buildable or not, southwest.
Oh,
That looks like high ground there.
yeah, it's,
So parcel B is 1.58 acres in conjunction with what's left. Just to the north of that, it might be a buildable portion.
yeah, possible, slim chance that would work.
Okay.
I don't think Shane understood necessarily that the parcel shown on the survey was two separate pieces. Actually three, two Gustafson pieces and one Kukowski piece, so.
Well, at some point, there must have been a lot split there, then it, previous, then, to end up with that kind of configuration, then.
Yeah, it's a unique
I mean,
arrangement.
they kind of funny how they did things there, but,
Yeah, I would agree.
'cause usually you don't wanna go through it twice.
Right.
Okay. Commissioner Wagner, in other words, you're thinking all three of those lots should be combined then?
I was just wondering if that was, I was just commenting that I thought that was the engineer's point. But if this does have a chance to be buildable back here, this could still be one parcel. It's just fine. I don't see the need to combine it with the home property.
Yeah, I don't see the need to involve a parcel outside of the surveyed area at this point, I guess.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
So with the movement of the lot line to the north, are the setbacks met with the way it's configured here then?
Yes, then he meets the northerly setback. The setback from the northerly lot line is his side yard, yes, and he meets that 20 feet.
So you're saying by doing this, there would be no more expense by just changing those pin numbers around then?
Yeah, there's no additional, well, they have to revise the survey to dedicate the easement to the city, but in any combination, there's no cost, no survey work required to combine two lots that exist.
Well, the way I understand, Kowalski's gonna stand off of the whole expense for the whole thing then, trading the land and.
Well, Kukowski's covering this, yeah,
Surveying and everything,
Right,
okay.
I think so. I think that was their agreement.
Do we have any further discussion here on this? If not, we can call for a motion, make this recommendation to the city then. To accept this.
Chair?
Commissioner Farrell?
I make a motion to accept the lot line reconfiguration for this situation.
Do we have a second to this motion?
I will second that.
Commissioner Moen seconds it.
Mr. Chair, if one of them could just amend the motion to reference the
Recommendation.
findings of fact.
Oh, yes, I will recommend that too, yes.
As-
I still second that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Also-
Chair?
Yes.
So that I can communicate to the council clearly then, so there's no changes to the finding of fact and recommendations as presented in your motion? Okay. And so the vote is to recommend as presented by the planner. Okay.
Okay. The next thing, there's no action needed, but the upcoming events, I see the Liaison Lutheran landscape plan, they're gonna do it themselves. You got anything further to say about that, Planner Stockman?
No, they're dragging their feet a little bit, but I've contacted them at least 3 times and did get a hold of, Sam Byman, who was the gentleman you saw in here when they were getting their, church plans approved. And so we did talk a little bit about using a landscape company versus them, doing their own changes to the plan, and that's what they preferred to do their own, because a lot of their plant materials are gonna be donated, so they didn't feel that it was fair to go through a landscape company and then not buy anything from them, which I understand. So I said that was fine, and that we could just meet and keep it as simple as possible, to just get across what we need to. So that would be forthcoming. the Sheldon lot reconfiguration is forthcoming as well. They live up in what was a Vogley subdivision. And this is interesting. So there were two platted lots originally side by side, and the Sheldons wanted additional land for their horses. So before they closed on the lot, Mr. Vogley went through, had a survey done and took an acre from the adjoining lot and sold it to the Sheldons, but he never recorded the split, never even had it approved by the city. So here they are, more than 10 years later, and they want to sell their parcel because they bought land up there by the Thorkelsons off of Burialite.
These the same Sheldons?
Yes, the same Sheldons, yeah. And so this has been a big headache for them. So we're still kind of working through that one. And then,
Mr. Chair,
Yes, yes, sir.
just to illustrate the point of why we were debating this at council recently, people were saying we didn't need surveys, we don't need to formalize things, people can, it's one of the benefits of having a coordinated formal planning system is to avoid this. These people have been fighting us. We had another property down in Twin Lakes that went into a court battle, and all because people weren't doing the paperwork properly, weren't crossing their T's and dotting their I's, and pushed it down the road. And here 10 years later, these people are trying to sell a piece of land, and they run into two headaches. One, they can't sell the land they have because that's not clear, and they want to buy, and our ordinances weren't clear. So we're creating headaches where they're not necessary. So your value here as a planning commission and being thorough and complete is illustrated in all these things we're talking about. So just an encouragement. It's a very important role that you serve, and it's very important that you're thorough and documented, because when questions come 10 years down the road and you're pulling out old tapes and old pieces of paper that are incomplete, it becomes a headache for both parties, all parties involved. So I just want to illustrate that.
absolutely, I agree 100%, and the more detailed the meeting minutes are, the better off we are. Because we've had to look back no less than 3 or 4 times in the last couple months at meeting minutes. And, well, I guess that said nothing, that doesn't help us, or sometimes they were very vague, so.
What
Yeah,
about these Sheldons, and they want to take up there, what they want to do up there, according to the way our ordinance is going to be rewrote, they won't be able to do it then.
No, they're okay up there. Mm-hmm.
But I thought they wanted to expand it and put in, have machinery up there and everything else. That's actually it's be illegal the way it is, isn't it?
No, they have 20 acres, so they're okay.
Okay,
I mean, up where
on Copus there.
Copus used to own, right. So they basically just ended up adding on to Copus's.
But they won't be able to get Green Acres though.
No, they won't have Green Acres, but that,
They're not concerned about Green Acres.
no, they're,
What are
they're
they?
not
Green
concerned
Acres was
about it.
keeping them from doing what they want.
But they already have a building on it.
Right, they were given approval to make it larger by the council after we had discussed this.
Okay,
a
because
month or two.
that's grandfathered in other words, you're saying.
Well, they have the 20 acres they need, that's why they're allowed, so you're not limited.
Okay.
With 20 acres, with 10 acres or more, you're not limited in
Okay.
size.
It was
So-
the ag building and the increasing the ag building because they didn't have Green Acres. When we looked in our ordinance, we realized they didn't need Green Acres, but we didn't get every reference to Green Acres out of all the ordinance spots where it was listed in the ordinance. So our intention back in 2013 was if you got 20 acres, you can have your ag building. But we tied it to green, there was still a reference to Green Acres. So what the council did is it let them expand because they wanted to have agricultural use on that 20 acres. We let them expand knowing that we were going to present to the planning commission the change of the ordinance to eliminate the reference to Green Acres. So they don't have to have Green Acres, they don't have Green Acres, but they are doing an agricultural activity on 20 acres or more, and they wanted a building expansion for that. So that's what the council was looking at.
Okay, and their lot reconfigurations on the lot they presently own where their home's at, that's,
Correct, they own a smaller
Oh,
lot,
okay,
which is
okay.
just
I was thinking
around
that-
5
I
or
was-
6 acres.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, then I've also been working with, Mr. Rademacher regarding possible expansion of the Bill's Superette here. I think his first phase will be simply exterior improvements. He wants to put in a separate diesel island for the trucks, and then, do some parking lot curbing changes. We've been in touch and talked about, combining all those parcels up to the corner, and he is in agreement with that, because then he doesn't have to worry about setbacks to that, between the lots. He can, just have a shared parking arrangement, approved through a conditional use permit, and then at a later date, add a second building, whatever that turns out to be, he doesn't know yet. And then some time ago, there was discussion, actually, I think it was when he did all the upgrades there and bought, that facility, I forget what it was previously. But anyways, there was discussion of a driveway that would go across the northerly part of the adjacent lot and go over to Nowthen Boulevard, sort of like the gravel one goes across there now, but in a more orderly fashion, in a more defined manner, and that was actually discussed with the county. And Randy Bettinger had remembered that. That was discussed, so that'll be forthcoming. Mr. Rademacher was gonna talk over these changes that he wants to see with his parents, and then kind of get back to us. So that may be coming up, and both of the comprehensive plan amendments were just approved in the last 4 to 6 weeks. Mr. Eng is very excited. He is moving forward full force with his surveying and subdividing a couple more lots off of his 80 acres. So he's just on Nowthen Boulevard, the old Duchesne place. And Mr. Wagner too is moving forward with surveying, and will switch property, buy the A and B property on Nowthen Boulevard where the deer stands are on the corner of Old Viking, and then sell the 2 pieces in the commercial park to A and B, so A and B can expand. So it's a win-win for everybody there. Some of you don't remember that about 5 years ago, the Bridge Church up on Norris Lake Road came through with a conditional use permit, and they were required to repave their parking lot within 5 years. So we are in the 5th year, and they are moving forward with that upgrade to the site. And they're working with Shane mostly on the engineering there and the stormwater ponding. So, lots going on.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Wade.
Ms. Stockman, something in regard to the Bill's Superette, you said he's going to kind of revamp his parking lot as well, or?
Well, his curbing is cracking, and the, I don't know what you call it, but I guess they're more like tank covers over the gas tanks, where they, they're kind of a bump. Those are cracking. So he has to do those little islands around all the pumps, redo those. And then the diesel island is planned to be to the east, farther. So he may have to move the air and the propane and all that stuff on the side there for the diesel island.
Okay.
And then the intent was to kind of keep the trucks over, and he's actually wants to create sort of like a waiting line, because in the morning it gets so busy there, and then they block the traffic circulation on the whole site. So he's actually creating like a 2 or 3 lane waiting area where they can stack and not be in the way of the remainder of the pumps. So it's actually a really nice layout.
Is that gonna be, but he's, where his bulk tanks are then, or where his fill tanks are? Is he gonna be east of that? Is he gonna expand onto his?
Yeah, he
Additional
may,
property?
yes, he may end up going a little east because he was running into setback issues, and I said, I don't wanna see you crowding, together with, so that people have a hard time getting through up to the parking spaces along the building. And then I forgot to mention the, possible phase 2 development would be adding on to the building for Bill's, and he's thinking, I'm not sure if you've seen the new Bill's up north a little ways. Yes, where he's got the chicken place in there, the fast food chicken. So he was thinking of adding a food aspect to this building, and then, we'd have to recalculate parking and all those things too, so. We will see.
All right,
And tell him we could add a meat market to it.
Yeah, we had that.
I'm good with the chicken. Do the chicken.
Ms. Stockman, the comment I had was that,
Oh,
technically, I don't think his front handicap stalls are to code.
oh yeah, I see what you're saying, okay.
Because he has them up on the, he has that raised area for them to get up to get to the sidewalk. But he has the pavement for the stalls themselves are sloped to get up there for the handicap stalls. Those are supposed to be flat. And they're supposed to have an accessible aisle next to them that's
Right.
flat, or not more than 2% in any direction.
Oh, I
And I
see.
think his stalls are actually too steep.
So
Okay.
if he's fixing up the parking lot, this would be a time to.
Yeah, and whether it's just a restriping thing or if he's got to modify, if he's gonna modify the pavement, I guess it's just
Okay, well, that's a good point.
something he should watch for with whatever engineer he's working with, so.
Okay, that's a good point, thank you.
Has anybody else got any questions they'd like to ask our planner here? If not, it looks like there's a few things coming up in the future. So, do we have a motion to adjourn? We got everything covered.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Commissioner Peril made motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Commissioner Moore seconded. All in favor, say aye. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? One carries, so we're adjourned.
Just so you know, adjournment doesn't need discussion. Once you get a second, you're adjourned.
What?
Once you get a second, you're adjourned.
Okay.